Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Fantastic Four, issue number 1, 2022. Brand new comic book. Old team, who dis? So, this was really good. There was some weirdo stuff in here. Um, Whatever. The fact that the writer is obviously 100% Canadian, didn't get a bigger picture on something here was perfectly fine for me. All that being what it is, I really did like this first comic book. I imagine there's a lot here that we haven't seen before. I haven't been reading the previous series by Dan Slott, but it is what it is. But it looks like there's a bunch of new stuff here. No need to address anything else, and I'm genuinely curious to see where this comic book goes from here. For right now, I think I'm going to be on this comic book for a while. I'll probably almost certainly be reading and reviewing issue number 2. Just a heads up. Okay, let's get talking about who made this comic book. We'll move on from there. Move on from there. Anyway, so the writer is Ryan North. The artist is Iban Coelho. The color artist is Jesus Abertov, and the letter is VC's Joe Caramagna. Cover art by Alex Ross. Alex also did a variant cover, and there's a whole bunch of other variant covers on here. And why wouldn't there be? Because this just so happens to be a freaking Fantastic Four comic book. Hey, imagine that. Marvel's first family. Stanley and Jack Kirby were the creators of this comic book and these characters and this stuff. Anyway, the cover was a little bit weird. I know this was more of one of Alex Ross's Marvel's comic book covers, but some people like it. I'm not one of the fans of it. I think that it has its place in the Marvel's comic book line, but outside of that, it was distracting seeing that for this cover. It is what it is. If you liked it, that's cool. I'm not disparaging it. I'm just saying for me personally, I am the one doing this review after all. This issue is called The Last Town on the Left, and it seems like it's going to be a one-off, so to speak. You know, this issue. It's just a one-and-done story to, hey, bring you in, and look, this is what I, Ryan North, am capable of doing with the Fantastic Four. You love it, don't you? Okay. Well, look, there's some crazy stuff in the future for you to see, because look, bang, here's a little letter from me. I've got an awesome art team, so buy the book. And guess what? Yes, mission accomplished. I'm almost undoubtedly going to be reading this comic book from this point forward. Basically, this is like a Groundhog's Day, and everybody's going to say this. These reviews are probably going to feel like Groundhog's Day. It's going to be this is a Groundhog's Day kind of comic book where a town wakes up every morning and it's really weird. The first 3 pages of this comic book, I was reading this digitally, but if I was reading, and I thought, wow, there's some kind of a mistake here. Did Marvel send me a stupid copy? What the hell's going on here? I can only imagine if I was reading the actual comic book, the physical copy, because the first page was actually the first 3 pages. I'm like, this is a misprint. They just kept on repeating. How many times did they do this? And then I see that it wasn't a misprint, and I see the way that it was done. I'm like, Ryan North, starting off strong AF. I'm impressed. I'm genuinely impressed. Good job on you, dude. Good job on you. There's basically a town keeps on waking up over and over again to repeat the same day, and they have to figure out why. Also, Ben Grimm is being bullied. there's some weird stuff in here. There's Ben, of course, feeling bad for appearing like a monster. Hey, Ben, at some point, get over it. All right. Like, I am 6'5". All right. Ryan North is about an inch taller than me, so he knows what it's like too. When you are super tall, you are super scary, and it just is what it is. And he's like the nicest guy in the world. He doesn't look like he can harm a fly to me. But walking down a dark alley would be a different story. But it's one of those cases where it's like, bro, you're a big guy. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, I'm a guy. You know what I'm saying? If I'm at the park with my kids, I'm hoping that my kids come off to me fairly often, because if they don't, then I just look like some big guy sitting in the park and everybody starts to get scared. I've had a woman call the police on me before. I'm there with my kids, and a woman has called the police on me before. Because, like, what is this guy doing in the park? Just sitting here lurking. It's really weird. I think he's going to kidnap a kid or try and hurt somebody. I kid you not. And it just, you know what? Honestly, it is what it is. So, what do you call it? Sometimes you just got to get used to things. Bruh, you look the way you do. Wake up. It's going to happen. regardless, I really like this story. And let's be realistic. We don't want Ben Grimm to ever change. If Ben ever changed, I'd be so sad. If Ben was just like, yeah, it's right, I'm a big guy and I'm scary, or deal with it. We would all hate it. So move on, right? With with some of the stuff that happens in this comic book was really brilliant. I don't want to spoil things because it is a first issue, all right? But I'm tempted. There was something in here. One thing that I didn't like too much, it was not paying attention. It was the idea of, hey, he's Canadian, he's not American. I don't know when it happened in Canada, but I know in America, a white person and a black person weren't allowed to marry each other until 1974. There's this movie that came out called Loving, and it was apparently the guy's last name, Loving. This was the first time that a black guy or a white guy and a black woman were allowed to get married, legally married. Here they show it happens in 1954, I think it was. And no, that would have been illegal. That would have been completely illegal. Would they have gone to jail? I don't know. But yeah, I didn't see the movie. I'd rather just watch a documentary. All these movies are based on a true story. So you mean it's not a real story? I'd rather just watch a documentary, honestly, instead of these made up, drummed up things. But yeah, 1974 is the first time that black people and white people were allowed to marry each other. Intermarriage, as they say, is what it is. A minor thing, but it is a thing. Nonetheless, it was a really beautiful story. That part where it's in here criticizing the whole thing, regardless, was completely beautiful. And I'm reading this, I'm like, wow, I really like this. I genuinely like this a lot. But again, it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like it's kind of like a lecture thing. It's like by showing what was showed, it was like, okay, this is how long you date before, or this is how you meet. You're not actually supposed to ask anybody, go up and approach anybody. This is how it happens. And then this is how long you wait to actually sleep with each other after you're courting her for a while. And then this is how long it takes before you're supposed to get married. And then this is how long, and it's like, everything after that was just whatever had happened. But it's like, I get it. I don't think you need to show when they slept with each other. I think that was really weird. If somebody might be saying, I'm sure that's not what they're saying, Bill, that this is how long you're supposed to wait. Okay, but they showed the thing. So it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? I've got to think, why are they showing me this thing? It was a beautiful story. It really was. Some things on there were just a little odd. There are a couple of things in here that you're going to find as being a little bit odd. The guy just walking up and shooting Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm not murdering this guy immediately when he's shooting Ben, when Alicia is right there. He's driving his car, and a whole bunch of people are driving their cars into this guy, and it's like Alicia's right there every single time, and Ben's not just like murdering each and every one of them. I know in the one case it looked like he was about to, but nonetheless, like that would have been an instant thing. Instead, he grabs the guy and he breaks the gun inside the guy's hand, and instead of the guy going, I'm telling you, man, if somebody crushed my hand, I don't care. Dude, I'm tough as nails. You bend these nails right here, you break these nails over top of a gun, I'm probably going to start crying. You're like, the vein hurts, like a Paul Atreides hand in the box thing. It would be way worse. The pain. Instead, this guy's just kind of like, and just like storms off, doesn't even bend his knees. There was a little bit of a problem between you better run. He wasn't running. He was like maybe speed walking, I guess. He wasn't moving the hips, but aside from little issues between what I can only imagine is the communication between the writer and the art team, aside from that, like I said, I can't wait to read more of this comic book. There is some genuinely brilliant stuff on the horizon for this comic book. There's some ideas that are about to be exposed. I should say espoused. They were exposed in this issue. Reed Richards apparently did something that is pissing off everybody in New York City. He did something to New York City. I'm not going to spoil it, but they do show what he did, or the after effect of what he did. And it's like, oh, That looks like somebody going to have some splaining to do. But I genuinely and from my heart, I read this comic book, and despite continuity errors, oh, there's a mention of Phineas Horton in here. Kudos, the guy who created the original Human Torch. Really good one. And in the year after he went disappearing, after he was disappeared, right? I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I don't know if the year coincided by accident or whatever, but like that was really good, because at one point the kid's like, do you know such and such and such? Yeah, I imagine people would have been looking for him at about that time. And yeah, enough people would have known of him, for crying out loud. I thought that it was absolutely brilliant, and I really enjoyed all the heart and the love that was put into this issue. I can mostly ignore. I can comment and then forget about any continuity issues or this, that, or the other thing. I mean, we're talking about 1961, I think was the birth date of the Fantastic Four, until today, 2021. Yeah, that's been a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? That's been a while. The original creators are no longer here. God rest their souls. The people who knew them, you know, when they were the people who were originally there, all the original Marvel guys, they're gone. So the idea that there's going to be some continuity issues, I can forgive. I forgive it. I've tried to forgive more. I've tried to forgive worse. Some people are just really bad at what they do, and it's like, oh, I can't. There's no need to forgive this, that, and the other thing. The whole book just sucks. So what am I forgiving individual things for? I'm itemizing forgiveness. No, in this, they were relatively small things. I read them and I loved them, and this comic book was just amazing. I can't wait to read more. I need to see what Reed did. I love the idea of everybody being pissed off at Reed. Everybody hates Reed. Should be an ongoing theme in the comic books as far as I'm concerned. I love to be pissed off at Reed. I love to hate Tony Stark. I love to be pissed off at Reed. It's just, that's the thing. And to also think that Johnny Storm is being unfair and he's being a bully. I love it. I love when you can bring these kinds of emotions to the forbearance of your reading experience. And that's exactly what I had here. Guys, I think that you're going to like this comic book. I highly recommend giving this first and possibly second issue a shot, right? There's some people who like to subscribe to their comic books. I think that would be a good idea with this one. I think that this is definitely pull box worthy, right? Some people are sponge worthy. Some books are pull worthy. This is definitely pull worthy. Talk to you guys later. Hope you guys like the Seinfeld reference. Like the video and watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.